Patrick Laird in a GPP.
I suffer from a debilitating condition known as atrophic chalkitis.
Peter's one of the greatest depositors I've ever seen.
Trust the process. Let's go. Let's go.
I got auto matched with Levitan. This is bullshit.
If I just go the other way in that 66, I win all the money. All the money.
If I had 150 lineups, I'd win too.
Process over results.
Illuminati make a bitch go crazy. I don't know which one of these my baby. Bust out AP, 35 bullets in your head like KD. Bust it, bitch go bust it. And I had 10 pints with me in Russia.
Hey everyone.
A little bit earlier, Showdown Cram tonight. I did it for Brick. I know Brick requested on lulls that I start these a little bit earlier so he could have some nice ambient white noise on in the background while his Sims run. Although I would assume he is just watching the Chasing the Goat episode 1 on loop. So hopefully he was able to pause it and it was able to get some different texture in his white noise. JJ Drummond, I love this energy. I love the vibes. If I double up this 10-cent contest, I'll quit my day job. Chip in a chair, ladder up. We need a true one of those paperclip stories for DFS where someone started in the 10-cent dime. They moved their way up to the mini max. Then they were in the single entry, the Spies. Then they go up to the Thunderdome and they take over the world. We need that story. The true Chasing the Goat. Brian Schultz, I still can't believe these crams all start with the Sims locked in a cage. Release them. I'm thinking about releasing them. Sometimes I think about keeping them to myself, just huddling around them, keeping me warm, all of this knowledge, all of this insight just for me. Ink coming in hot. Bateman of Watkins. It sounds like, Smith of Duke. So there's some kind of English royalty. Bateman of Watkins is about to enter. I'm Team Bateman, of course, but looking at the Sims, I don't think there's any leverage. Neither of them are going to be sneaky. I'm seeing about 20% ownership for Bateman. He's showing up in our baseline Sims about 18% of the time. So he looks like a solid play. Watkins, similar. I'm seeing about 19% cumulative ownership. He's appearing in the Sims about 18% of the time. So the field is rostering these guys at about the clip that the math says they should. The only difference there is $200. So I think a lot of people are going to be playing this both ways. My guess with these situations always is the sexier player, which is Bateman in this case, gets steamed a little harder. So it's again one of those classic situations where I would much prefer to play Bateman, but my hunch is that the field is going to play Bateman at a slightly higher clip than Watkins. Andrew finished second and third in the jukebox on Monday and almost called in sick. I mean, you should. I mean, I assume you were hard of breathing from all the victory laps you took after finishing second and third in the jukebox. Dermot Smythe and the captain. Now we're talking. Now the Galaxy Brain Bros are out. All right, let's run the Sims. Everyone's coming hard here. Captain Gesicki, captain with Brissett. All right, I'll release the Sims. We'll do it. We'll run the Sims. I can only do so much small talk with you guys, and then we just have to get right to it. No more foreplay. No more dancing around the issue. Let's just run the Sims. Let's bust a nut. I'm sorry. Ryan Phillips says Patrick Laird is not popping in the optimals on Run the Sims. Am I missing something? Let's go see here. Patrick Laird down here in the flex. He is showing up in our Sims at a 6% clip. Okay. To me, I am not kidding. I have looking at the best flex plays relative to how much they appear in the Sims. Preston Williams is the number one play. Preston Williams is the best play on this slate. He's appearing in our Sims 25% of the time. I'm seeing about 3% average ownership. Preston Williams, absolute smash. Savon Ahmed, At 800, he's appearing in our sims 30% of the time. I'm seeing about 18% ownership. Smash. Devonta Freeman at 6,600. I'm seeing around 20% average ownership. He's in our sims 31% of the time. Smash. Don't worry, I'm getting there. Number 4, Isaiah Ford. Only $200. He has about a 2% average ownership, appearing in the sim 7% of the time. Wait for it. Wait for it. Wait for it. Patrick motherfucking Laird. I apologize. 2% ownership, 6% in the sims. 6% in the sims. Patrick Laird on my wall, popping in the sims. The math says we can play Patrick Laird tonight, folks. I'm getting kind of hot and bothered under the collar just seeing Patrick Laird pop in those sims. Brian, don't say 6:15 p.m. That bullshit time zone. 7:15 p.m. Brian, tell me right now. I assume you're 150 maxing the $20. How much Patrick Laird do you have, Brian? I demand you release your Patrick Laird exposure in the chat right now. So Ahmed or Preston? Now you got me thinking. Yeah. So I mean the Ahmed stuff is interesting. I know ETR took the 1.5 catches under prop for him, and Laird is legitimately a slight issue for Ahmed because they're now kind of splitting work on third downs. We can kind of look at what we have in our inputs for how this is shaking out. Ahmed getting a decent amount of the rushing share. And I think that's why he's, popping here a good amount. And then you can see him and Laird are kind of splitting what's left in the receiving market share with Gaskin up here at 12%. And then the thing with Preston Williams is, and I was talking about this with Justin Freeman earlier, is Preston Williams was a healthy scratch last week. He's obviously in tonight. And I think a lot of sites were kind of projecting, Albert Wilson to kind of be that guy. But Justin was sending me some stuff of, the last time Preston Williams played with Devontae Parker out, he looked pretty good. So we're giving him, 10% market share, 12% TD market share. And at this price, and then at this ownership, he's looking like a pretty nice play. So if everyone else is going to be kind of saving money in other spots, it seems like Ahmed's going to be the preferred way to save money at 800. I think Preston Williams is pretty damn sneaky. You got to assume that he's going to be on the field for most wide receiver sets there, along with Mac Hollins. So I like the Preston Williams play a lot. I don't think a lot of projections and stuff are that aggressive on him. And I think you're going to get him at pretty nice rates. As far as the captains, Mark Andrews looks really good to me. We have him in the sims at a 13.6% clip, and then seeing about an 8% ownership, looking at aggregated ownership here in our Run the Sims captain ownership. We have him at 10%. I think it might even be a little lower than that. And Marquis Brown looks good as well to me. We have him showing up 10% of the time in the sims. In my aggregated ownership, I'm seeing Marquis Brown more around 7%. And so I think kind of the way the captain landscape is going to shake out tonight is just Lamar Jackson just hogging so much of the captain attention. I think he's going to be up in the 30% range. And I think in your small field, single entry stuff, he could approach 40, 45%. And then it's going to be fairly flat with Andrews, with Waddle, with Gaskin. ETR has Marquis Brown really low in their captain ownership. They have him at 5%. So man, Marquis Brown, if he's anywhere around 5% there, maybe people, because of the pricing, because of Watkins being back for whatever reason, maybe people are going to be a little less confident in Marquis Brown. So he looks really good to me. I'm not playing 20 max tonight because I got to run after this. So I'm just playing one single entry tournament, and I'm going to have Marquis Brown as my captain. Please don't dupe me, bros. Where'd you get the info for the tweaks to the market share? So I was just showing you the baseline inputs here on the sim. So Justin Freeman and the team over there load in these inputs, and you can go and mess with them yourself. If you want to say, I know better, and I think Patrick Laird is going to have 25% market share of receiving yards, you can go in and tweak that. I honestly don't mess with this myself because I don't trust myself to do it properly. But we have done it as thought experiments, and we were doing it on, what was the last Showdown show we did? Would have been Monday night. I'm blanking on it right now, but we were adjusting with the market share for the running backs. Oh, it was the David Montgomery, Khalil Herbert. So again, you got to realize a lot of these assumptions, heavily impact how the sims turn out. So if you have a IKB, I know better situation, and you want to go in here and toggle these sims and then see how it plays out, then you can do that. If you think, Preston Williams is going to double up Mac Hollins, go knock yourself out. What I normally just mess around with is more of the macro level inputs. I like changing the game flow scenarios. So normally the kind of ones that I'll run will be like, all right, our baseline sim is working off of the Vegas total, which gives the Baltimore Ravens a 27-point implied team total. It gives the Miami Dolphins a 19.5. What if we flip that? What if the Dolphins win 27-19? And then the other kind of check I normally do is then I adjust the rush rates accordingly, right? Because if the Ravens are losing, maybe their rush rate comes down a little bit. Let's just say to 42%. This is incredibly arbitrary. I'm just trying to manually get the sims in the right kind of game flow scenario that we're playing once we adjust these points scored. So if the Dolphins are winning big time, I'm going to assume their rush rate is going to be much higher than 34%. So let's boost it up to 40%. And then we can run the sims and we can compare it to the sim results with the baseline assumptions. And then you can start to tell yourself a story for some of these lineups. So when we do this, Lamar Jackson's captain frequency comes down a pretty good bit here. Lamar Jackson was showing up in, let's see, what was it? 28% of our simulated lineups before. If the Dolphins are winning, we see him come down all the way to 19%. Myles Gaskin is by far the biggest beneficiary. He comes from a 7.4% optimal captain rate in our baseline sims all the way up to 13.7%. So these are the scenarios. If you're just hand building a couple of lineups, you can think through these and get a leg up on the people who are just running optimizers, right? Because if you're just running the default median projections, you're not going to get that much Myles Gaskin showing up. But if you want to play out a scenario where the Dolphins win, well, then all of a sudden here, the sims can help you out and build these lineups accordingly. So we can see what these Myles Gaskin lineups look like. Now, all of a sudden we have a Myles Gaskin with a Preston Williams, Jacoby Brissett, Miami Dolphins, and a Lamar Jackson, Mark Andrews. And that's what's so great about the sims in general is we see the game flow inputs we put in reflected within the texture of those lineups. If Myles Gaskin is captain and the Dolphins are winning, it makes sense that Miami Dolphins would be correlated with a Myles Gaskin captain. Makes sense that Lamar Jackson would still make it in here just because he is going to project so well in all game flow scenarios. So these are the things we can mess around with here. Let's see. Does the Sims run only football? As of now, Run the Sims is football exclusive. I don't have any inside information, but I would assume that in a perfect world, they would be able to expand that. I don't know, though. You'll have to ask Justin. Let's see here. Ink Magma says, I don't know how people are going to be able to fit in Hollywood at captain. I'm not having any salary problems. Might be a little higher owned than we think. Yeah, I mean, it goes back to how comfortable people are with some of these punt plays. And based on the ownership projections, people don't feel that comfortable with a Preston Williams, with some of these other guys. So I don't know. I think I could see it going where people still prefer Andrews. I think Waddle's splits with Brissett have been very good, so I completely see that. I think Gesicki will be popular, so I could still see Marquis Brown getting squeezed, and I also just think the fact that Watkins is back in people's heads or the hand builders' heads might be like, oh, is he going to get squeezed from a target share perspective, having another competent wide receiver back in that offense? I know it started early. I told you I did it for Brick. No, I have to go. I have dinner plans tonight. I had to start it early. I'm sorry. Generally been going at around 7:45, but you can watch it back. I promise. I promise you can start from the beginning. Let's not forget about an underdog pick'em. I did get an underdog pick'em in. I did get an underdog pick'em. Let me see here. I didn't get that great of a number, though, so I'm just being honest here. So I had the Lamar Jackson over. Bet the Prop had a crazy stat about Lamar Jackson passing overs this year. He's cleared his passing yardage prop over 88% of the time by an average of 50 passing yards. So I mean, I don't know if that's the sports books who have been slow to adjust to the Ravens being more of an up-tempo passing offense now. The line at a decent amount of the books that I was seeing was like somewhere between 235 to 239. Underdog has adjusted it here to 243. I still let it rip. In the Sims prop tool builder, we had him up with a median projection of about 280 passing yards. So to me, that still seemed like a nice over. And then this is, I saw ETR put out a blast here for the Savon Ahmed under 1.5 receptions. He hasn't had a game this year with more than 2 receptions. And with Laird now back in the fold, he's just not getting as many third down snaps. So this seemed like a nice under here. Lamar over, Savon Ahmed under. If you want to tail me, I will post it in the link. Yeah, and you can, I'm sure you can find a better Lamar line on some others, but if you want to get the underdog pick'em going, I still don't mind that. Let's look at some of these lineups, and then maybe we can run one more scenario here before we get out of here. Let's look at, I feel like the other kind of scenario I generally run is just a really low scoring game, which I know is not fun, but it's helpful to see, what happens in these gross Thursday night games. Let's say the Ravens win 17-12. Everybody's rush rate is a little boosted. It's hilarious how low the default Dolphins rush rate is. 34% is one of the lowest I've seen all year, if I recall correctly. I'm going to guess Lamar is going to pop. Freeman will probably pop. Yeah, Lamar Jackson. Actually, he comes down relative to his baseline ownership. I guess that makes sense. If there's less points scored, his scoring would be a little bit more volatile. Mark Andrews holds strong. Waddle, Brown. So this as far as captain exposure stays pretty mirrored to the kind of baseline sim. Doesn't look like a ton changes here. I guess the Dolphins defense starts to pop up a little bit more in this lower scoring game. It's interesting, even in a game where the Ravens win a low scoring game because of the price discrepancy on Ravens versus Dolphins, that we actually see the Dolphins defense appearing slightly more in the flex and in the captain than the Ravens defense. Mark Smith says, I don't know how you move off Lamar captain lineups every week except for week 6. He's led the team in DK points. So, I mean, this is just kind of the classic tournament conversation we always have, right? What is the most likely outcome in this game? It is Lamar Jackson is in the winning captain lineup. And so now we are shifting over to a DFS game and not real life football. And we can see here that Lamar Jackson is showing up in our captain optimals 30% of the time, and the field is going to play him slightly more than that, 35% of the time. So even though the field and the math say he's a great play, that's still only 1/3 of the time that he is going to appear as the winning captain lineup. So it's a good spot, I think, to get leverage on the most popular captain lineups. There's some of these slates where the captain ownership is really smooth up top, but when you can get, if you get the Marquis Brown game, if you get the Mark Andrews 2 TD game where they outscore Lamar Jackson, I mean, you're wiping out and lapping 1/3 of the field's lineup. So to me, I get it. If you're playing cash games, if you're playing super small field stuff, obviously jam Lamar. He's the best play. But the math is saying that there are some pretty nice other options that are going to get you more leverage on what the field is doing. And we can look here at our top lineups. Of course, we do see our best lineup here appearing with Lamar Jackson, Ahmed, Mark Andrews, Jalen Waddle, Preston Williams, Marquis Brown. What's fairly interesting about this lineup is it has a low product own here because Preston Williams and Ahmed aren't going to be that popular. So you can get a lineup in here that I don't think is going to be very popular unless all the Run the Sims bros are duping each other. A couple of these lineups, you can see here what a great play Preston Williams looks like because he's appearing in all of these lineups for us. Preston. He's Preston. So he's in these all top 10 of these lineups, and he's going to be what, 5% owned? So to me, Preston Williams looks like one of the best captain lineups on the slate. Zero Juice says best captain option for a low field single entry. So yeah, I mean, to me, like I was saying earlier, when I'm looking at the captains who are appearing in the optimals the most relative to their ownership, Mark Andrews and Marquis Brown look like the best captains to me. Thank you, Mr. Solicam. This is high quality, liked and subbed. Appreciate that. Yeah, we do showdown crams every Monday and Thursday night. I'm here on Sunday mornings at 10:30 a.m. Eastern time to run down the main slate and check the Sims. That is what we do. I appreciate you hanging out. Joshua's coming at me with the wide receiver cornerback takes. Pete, Hollywood going to struggle against man coverage. He doesn't get off the line well. Josh, I don't know, man. I'm just going to trust the projections. I feel like Marquis Brown could get loose for some bombs. I don't know. If you know better, don't play Marquis Brown. But the math likes Marquis Brown. Ergo, I like Marquis Brown. Let's look at a couple of the Marquis Brown lineups. This one's interesting because it has Justin Tucker in it. And you normally don't see the kickers popping too much in these Sims. See if we can find another Marquis Brown lineup I like. Here we go with, this is a 3-3, Marquis Brown, Mark Andrews, Lamar Jackson. So you get the premium double stack. And then you get Ahmed and Williams and Gaskin coming back. Lots more Marquis Browns down here. Another one with Justin Tucker. Justin Tucker looked to me like he was going to be overowned as a flex play. The kickers never looked too good, appearing in the Sims 13.7% of the time, but he's going to have a 27% ownership. And Justin Tucker is just your name brand, McDonald's kicker, household name. And so people love playing Justin Tucker. They get this warm, fuzzy feeling in their stomach when they see Justin Tucker's name. And so he's going to be rostered probably way too much. So yeah, I am going to go and build a Marquis Brown captain lineup for tonight. I hope you guys have lots of luck, lots of fortune. Tonight on the showdown slate, I will have 2 shows tomorrow morning. We're doing an early splash play. We're doing that with the late round QB, JJ Zacharyson. Very excited to do that show, 10 a.m. Eastern. And then for my GPP strategy show, I am having Lord Reeves, Rich Rebar, on from Sharp Football Analysis to talk through his worksheet, which he writes each week, and kind of some of the hidden micro edges within the kind of DFS landscape that he's been trying to look into for his lineups. Joshua will appreciate this stuff like defense, stuff that I normally don't consider too much. And so I'm really excited to hear Rich's thoughts on how he factors in those elements to his GPP lineup building. So be sure to check that out tomorrow at 10 a.m. and noon Eastern. I appreciate you guys. Good luck tonight. We will see you tomorrow.